Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. That's it. That's the review.
Lesmiserableone. Ding.
Hello there once again, friends. My name is Aaron Hastings and welcome back to the Lesmiserableone channel, a place where we make silly internet videos and things. Today I would like to talk to you about the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. But before I do, I would just very quickly like to say, I have this thing where for some reason, if I don't watch something as it's happening, as it's like, current, if I miss something, I absolutely cannot watch the next thing. But for some reason, because I missed the first thing as it was happening, I just sort of never watch it. And it just kind of results in me being increasingly further and further behind on literally everything. It's the reason why I am currently at least 5 or 6 years behind on Doctor Who, probably more. It's the reason why I have still never watched any of Game of Thrones besides the first episode, I think. And it's the reason why I have never been fully caught up and up to date on the MCU since The Winter Soldier came out in 2014. However, I am incredibly proud to announce that as of about a week and a half ago, I finally watched Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, which means that I am actually finally up to date again and can watch things when they're happening. So I just wanted to take a really quick second just to give myself a little bit of a pat on the back for that one, because that's actually an impressive thing for me to do. Personally, for me, just before I dive right in, to give more pats on backs to every single person that was involved in creating this absolute masterpiece. And obviously, for the record, those are digital pats on the backs. I can't actually pat you on the back because, there's a whole pandemic going on, there's restrictions and stuff. However, I hope that everybody involved in creating this show is somewhere receiving those virtual vibrational digital pats on the backs, because they've created something chef kiss, fantastic, phenomenal. The basic concept of WandaVision, for those not entirely familiar, it's meant to be 50% sort of old school classic 50s sitcom, feel good, happy families, that sort of vibe, and 50% full scale cinematic MCU realness. Quite honestly, as far as I'm concerned, you can keep all of your Marvel cinematic, full-scale, epic cinema stuff, because this idyllic little 50s fantasy sitcom world that they've created, it's wonderful, it's charming. I just want a full series there. I just want that. I'm happy with that. Please, thank you. So the concept, generally speaking, is pretty simplistic. It's like, this new family move into a community where they're trying to fit in, they're trying to make friends and, find jobs. And when Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors is singing of Somewhere That's Green, this is it. This is her idyllic white picket fence fantasy. This is where she wants to be. And Wanda and Vision have just moved in here and they're trying to kind of fit in and feel at home. The difficulty that's inherent, of course, is that this is Wanda and Vision. These are Marvel characters. She has telekinetic powers, and he is like a weird AI human hybrid machine thing. So they're not just a couple of like quaint kooky weirdos that are trying to fit into the community. Like, they actually are Marvel, like they're superheroes, essentially. And it feels very reminiscent of territory that they explored in the earlier sort of MCU films. Like when Thor was trying to fit in on Earth, and, didn't really understand, human behavior. Or when Captain America woke up and suddenly it's 70 years later and he's like, God damn, I'm in the future. It feels like those sorts of things where the characters are having to adapt and adjust to very strange, unfamiliar circumstances, but it's had new life breathed into it. Because this particular set of circumstances is that they're in a 50s sitcom. The way that they talk, the kind of language that they use, the things that they're wearing, the surroundings, and the way that they interact with other people, it's all appropriate and representative of that sort of vibe. And honestly, there's so much that I could say about just, little details or lines or things that happen. I could probably talk about just these 2 episodes at a decent amount of length. But the thing is, I just don't want to. Because this isn't something that can be spoiled in the same way that Avengers Endgame could be spoiled. But I very much think that it's something that you need to watch for yourself and form your own opinions of. Because in my own humble opinion, it's wonderful. I genuinely would implore people that aren't even particularly fans of the Marvel stuff to watch at least the first 2 episodes, just because, in essence, it's nothing like any of the Marvel stuff. Like, they've taken these familiar characters who aren't necessarily mainline Avengers, and they've just put them in their own world, and it's fabulous. So the first episode is kind of like a little introduction to, the vibes, the rest of the characters in the world and what's going on. It's a daft sitcom-y type premise where Vision's boss and his wife are coming over for dinner and they've completely forgotten about it, so they're unprepared and they're trying to cobble together something at the last minute. But also, they have superpowers. And then you go into the second episode where they're trying to, fit in with the community a bit more. Vision goes along to a neighborhood watch meeting because he thinks he's gonna, offer useful insights on local security and on how to, protect the neighborhood. But what it actually turns out to be is basically just a mother's meeting of people sitting around eating pastries and gossiping about other villages. Simultaneously, Wanda is attending like some sort of town planning meeting for the local talent show, which they of course participate in with disastrous results. Truthfully, it's everything that I wanted it to be. It's charming and it's funny, and I'm gonna echo sentiment that I've seen on Twitter quite a fair bit. Paul and Elizabeth deserve Emmys for these performances. They are spot on. Chef kiss. And again, I really don't want to spoil anything or say too much, but obviously, there is that 50% of Marvel cinematic stuff going on. Allegedly, this show is gonna tie in with Doctor Strange and the next Spider-Man film. So this is sort of the beginning of like the next phase, I guess. So there is weird stuff going on. You start to see little cracks in the foundation that maybe this weird, wonderful, idyllic fantasy land isn't quite as magical and as perfect as, the sitcoms make it out to be. It's kind of reminiscent of in The Truman Show, when he's starting to become self-aware and he's starting to realize, like, hang on, something's a little bit weird and not quite right. That's kind of the vibes that they're giving off here, and it's obviously gonna, turn into something weird and creepy. And obviously, I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see where it goes, what directions that they're taking it, what's gonna come. But again, as I've already said, I genuinely, would take a full spin-off series in this little world. Like, presumably What If is gonna be like an entirely separate sort of spin-off that has no direct impact on mainline events and timelines. I fully would just take this as just a little spin-off, and I would be perfectly happy with it. And actually, please, can we make that happen? Because one of the thoughts that I've had is that there's been a lot of rumours recently about Chris Evans returning to the MCU and reprising his role as Captain America. What if this little kind of, the 50s section of WandaVision was just sort of testing the water for maybe a potential Cap and Peggy sort of spin-off? Wouldn't that be nice? I would like it. Please. But yeah, I think that about wraps that up. I don't want to, gush at too much length, and as I've already said multiple times, this is something that you need to watch and experience yourself. I don't want to say too much about it. I just highly recommend that you give it a go. So if you have seen it, please do let me know your thoughts in comments, and if you enjoyed this video, please do give a like rating and consider subscribing to the channel, because I make all sorts of weird and wonderful videos at other times about other things. If you'd like me to do more videos like this, talking about TV programs and movies and such, please also let me know that in comments. Of course, subscribe and all those good YouTube things. I hope you're having a really good day. I will see you really soon.